A wise man once said, "There is only immortality. Only eternal life should be the goal one should pursue. If one cannot live forever, is there any difference between a rank 9 go immortal and a pile of shit in the gutter? But if I cannot obtain immortality, I am also a pile of shit in the gutter." This manhua start is really abnormal. It begins in a place of despair and death. It's like you can even feel how stale and repugnant the air is from the pages. Of course, in such a place, there's bound to be some unsavory people doing unsavory things. Just like this specimen who's trying to forcefully make this girl's acquaintance, but is stopped by someone who should be the protagonist. And from this person's internal dialogue, we see that this behavior is also new to him. But he takes on the role of a hero and saves her anyway, but is then called by the master, or rather, his master. He and a girl called Wang are called at the same time and live together. Seems like they are all kept in the cave like goo. If you're tapped, you know what goo means. Soon they get to the master, and of course the master of these kind of people can't be any better. In fact, he's way worse. From behind, he looks like a refined but evil young master, and you might even be expecting him to be the next Gu Change from the Fated Villain. But when he turns around, he reveals a face which no mother could love. Quick break, like the video now or get a kiss from this old freak. Back to the video. With his teeth like twigs cut from a decaying tree, he shows a hideous smile as he jumps down from his dais and throws the girl, Wang, into a cauldron to refine some pills. Fang Yuan will be proud. With that, he turns around again and this time rushes towards Li Ho Wang, the protagonist. We'll just call him Li from now. As Li feels the old freak rushing towards him, he keeps repeating something weird. If you hear what he's saying right now, you will think he's a certified cuckoo clock. If he was a fish, you would think he was a crayfish. If he was a tuber crop, you would think he was a cocoyam. Okay, I'm done. He keeps repeating, "It's fake," over and over again. "It's fake, it's fake." And as the old freak finally gets within reach, Lee is forced to tear his eyes open. And you wouldn't believe it, ladies and gentlemen, but he's lying on a bed in a modern hospital, bound by a straitjacket. So was all what happened previously just his hallucinations? A trick his mind played on him? Or is it a reality only he can see? We'll get answers to that later. For now, let's make sense of the situation. Lee seems to be a regular patient of this hospital who's been dealing with some unusual hallucinations. He was diagnosed with what is called hallucination perception disorder, a kind of sickness that makes a person experience hallucinations without other major psychotic features. As his doctor leaves, we are introduced to his love interest, his childhood sweetheart, Yang Na. We'll call her Nana from now on. He and Nana made a promise to get into university together, and all that is holding them back now are his frequent hallucinations. As Lee walks Nana out, he's struck by lethargy, and for a brief moment, the two worlds collide. One thing is for sure, something weird is definitely going on. After seeing Nana off, even more things appear from the other world, and he thinks to tell his doctor. But what if he stays quiet and makes a killing from all this? There are so many precious things in that place, so many opportunities for him, for only him. Nobody has to know. And that's how greed slips in unnoticed. Just like that, he's not caring about his safety or even his promise to Nana anymore. All he can see are the profits in front of him. So in the other world, he starts collecting valuables to bring back to his real world. And that lands him in the empty room of the old freak's personal disciple, Zhuan Yang, late at night. Okay, seems like even though he's clouded by greed, he at least still remembers his promise with Nana. I noticed that each time he wakes back up from the other world, his situation over there will somehow reset or turn normal again. Like the last time he was about to be refined by the old freak, but woke up, and when he returned, all of a sudden everything had returned to normal. Almost as if that situation was just erased or taken care of smoothly. What's up with that? Anyway, this old freak low-key looks like the monkey from Generator Rex mixed with Master Splinter from TMNT. Do you see it? Do you see the resemblance? And why are blood fumes constantly leaking from his head? What did this old guy do, bruv? Anyway, during this time, a few elder disciples try to escape and ask Lee to join them, but he refuses out of greed. How can I leave all these good things behind? He was thinking probably. And that's good for him because the old freak catches all of them in one fell swoop and gathers all the disciples in the cave. When they all arrive, he drags the captured disciples through the crowd and opens his domain expansion, Fuga. And with that, he refines them and promotes Lee to the new Zhuan Yang. Anyway, from this run, Lee brings back a gold bracelet, a jade pendant, and a box of pills, a gift from the old freak. And then he does something I've always disliked in novels. He tells Nana his secret ability to get her to help sell the stuff. And the next time she comes to visit, he rushes out of his room to meet her. But instead of seeing Nana, he sees a group of uniformed men walking towards him. You must have guessed what happened by now. A patient had escaped his room and was currently on the loose. Anyway, he meets up with Nana and they excitingly discuss their profits. But while they celebrate, there's a glitch again, and this time not on an object, but on Nana. Her figure is replaced by an albino girl from the other world for a split second. Her name is Bai Ling Miao, and we'll just call her Ling from here on. I've noticed that a few characters from the other world look like people from his real world. The white-haired girl, Ling, might represent Nana, and the old freak should be old Liu, the patient who escaped his room. So I'm thinking that Lee might actually really have a mental illness and the other world is actually fake. But that still doesn't explain how he gets the items in real life though. Back to the story. While he and Nana are talking, old Liu comes out of nowhere and forces himself on Nana. Of course, Lee tries to pry him off, but is thrown back by old Liu, who seems to have supernatural strength. At this point, Lee loses all his rationality and swallows one of the pills gotten from the old freak. A pill made from using a human as an ingredient. And with this intake, we see the first signs of his craziness, the exact thing Nana was wary of. You can clearly see the psychotic bloodthirst in his glaring red eyes as he throws old Liu off. At least he's doing all this for a good reason, to save Nana. But his doctor ain't trying to hear that. He starts pressing Lee for the secret to his strength. And as usual, Lee logs out and dips back to the fake world. At this point, the old freak is feeding him a handful of juicy black worms called Tai Sui to cure his illness. Seems like over in the other world, he also has an illness called hysterical psychosis, at least according to the old freak. He hops between the worlds a couple of times to escape the worms being shoved down his throat. But this time, it doesn't work. As everything starts crumbling around him, he comes to a blazing realization at that moment. Was the real world actually the fake one all along? Are Nana and the whole modern world the real hallucinations? Is his real identity that of a disposable pawn? I get it now. The time when he gave these stuff to Nana and we saw her glitch into Ling, there was no Nana all along. It was just Ling. There was no hospital, just the cave. And there was never any escape, just death. He has no special power. He had just been living a life from the beginning. The portrayal of the illness really strikes me in the heart. The numerous highs and lows, all the confidence and hope he had been holding on to, being all fake, induced by his psychosis. Psychosis that probably started out of the deep despair of being in that cave with no hope. So now we know why he could transport those stuff to the real world. But there's still one lingering question. How did he escape from all those sure death scenarios? And how could he have such vivid hallucinations of the scenery and procedures of a hospital if he's never seen or even ever been in one before? Anyway, with this reality finally setting on him, Lee starts taking the path of a demon, delivering a person every day to the old freak to be made into pills and swallowing the pills he is given. Gradually, he no longer barfs after eating the pills. He just remembers the last words of the victims. He gradually becomes more and more heartless. But he's not completely heartless yet. He's still saving Ling constantly and even teams up with her and this guy who came out from nowhere after eavesdropping on their conversation. I don't trust him at all. And because of some information from Ling, he finds a way out of their situation. A way to escape the old freak's control for good. So the reason the former disciples were caught while fleeing is because the old freak has some invisible creatures working for him and keeping tabs on everyone. And Lee just got the info from Ling that there are 2 days when those creatures are absent, on the 1st and on the 15th of every month. And it's on one of these days that Lee sneaks into the old freak's room while he was out refining pills and breaks his daughter. No, kills his face. No, what can I even call this? A headlamp? Either way, he destroys the creature and leaves without anyone knowing. By the way, this was after his senior disciple had snuck in before. Next thing, when the old freak returns, everyone is summoned and asked one by one. After Lee answers and the old freak is about to keep moving, all of a sudden this guy pops out of God knows where and starts a D1 snitching. I knew this guy looked like a snake from the beginning. His little game of joining Lee and Ling wasn't genuine from the start, it seems. Or was it? But of course, for me to compare someone to the saint who would never hurt a fly, Fang Yuan, that person can't be a fool who just trusts anyone randomly. He had a plan just in case this guy betrayed them, which he did. And the worst thing is that no one asked him more. Like, he just stepped out and started snitching like it was his fundamental human rights. Bro was so vocal, it was as if he was trying to get drafted for the Hood Olympics. Anyway, the other senior disciple was exposed for sneaking into the room and was turned into what I can only describe as a silkworm. And finally, With the passing of the senior disciple, Lee becomes the eldest and only direct disciple of the old freak. If you think that makes his life better, you're not wrong. He gets to eat and work with the old freak all day, and as the only one who can read, he tells the old freak what the Heavenly Stone Book says. The Heavenly Stone Book supposedly has the secret to immortality, and that's what the old freak is after. So the vase girl from before was in charge of this, but she also couldn't read and was just lying her ass off to the old freak and getting people wasted. Now I get why the old freak looks so ugh. So with her wasted, Lee takes over her job as the translator of the book. But how can he let the old freak ascend to immortality all fine and dandy? Due to the false knowledge Lee had been feeding him, the old freak enters chi deviation and turns into whatever this is. With his death in quotes, all the captives escape and are led down the mountain by Lee. All of a sudden, the webtoon's color just changes and takes on a blue hue, or even green sometimes. I'm not sure why that is, but it might tie into the story somehow, or might just be an error. With his descent from the cave, Lee lives as a wandering sage, helping out people with their problems, sometimes even for a small token. Like this mission from the Who family. Why is man smiling like he knows something? This mission might be fishy. And fishy it was. There was a whole spirit and even an appearance of the old freak, in a way. After Lee deals with all that, he gets to the Zengde sect, a Buddhist sect the old freak used to be part of. And he meets up with his sect leader to come up with a plan to deal with the old freak for good. But something creepy is going on. This doesn't seem to just be a mere immortal cultivation world, and this doesn't seem to be just a regular Buddhist temple. After poking his head in a few places, the true face of the Zengde sect is revealed to Lee. They are a group of vile beasts who are just as bad as the old freak. There is no way they will be willing to help him, so there's only one explanation right now. It is a trap. So Lee takes everyone and escapes from the city to a forest. And when they get there, he leaves, and a few minutes later, loud booming sounds are heard. Seems like Ling caught feelings for Lee, cause she drops these words as she hears the sounds and goes to find Lee. If Lee dies, I won't be able to leave either. If Lee dies, I won't be able to leave either. We cut back to Lee 10 minutes back and see him contemplating on how to become stronger. And something terrifying happens here. The old freak's ideals start torturing him, and for a split second, his face morphs into that of the old freak, almost as if the old freak currently lives inside him. And that might be true because he did eat all the old freak's remains to deal with his illness temporarily. By the time he recovers, he sees this giant Buddha meat pyramid in front of him, and that's the man for now. We are currently at chapter 94, chapter 49. So you can pick up from there if you'd like to find out what comes next. And with that, like the video, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Band crew, we out of here. Spam beats in the comments. Ciao.